Ladies and gentlemen, in the quiet moments of reflection, we often find ourselves asking why we are so prone to worry. Our minds churn with questions, our hearts are heavy with concerns about the future, questions about our livelihoods, our health, and the loved ones we care for deeply. And yet, I would ask you to pause for a moment and consider what power does stress truly wield over the outcome of your life. Can the act of worrying add even a single moment to your time or change what is ordained beyond your control? To begin with, let us understand one crucial point. Stress often arises when we attempt to carry burdens far too great for our human capacity. We are finite beings, constrained by the present moment and by the limits of our understanding. And so, when we try to manage the unknown, our minds recoil and we feel as though we are drowning. But the truth is, you were never meant to carry these burdens alone. There is a providence and unseen hand guiding the course of events far wiser than our anxious hearts can comprehend. Perhaps you have been taught to think of faith as blind, but this is not so. True faith, the kind that releases us from stress, is a reasoned trust in something greater. We are not asked to leap into the dark, rather. We are called to place our confidence in the one who has always governed the world with justice and care. Our stress is a consequence of forgetting that we are not the authors of the full narrative. God, who sees from the beginning to the end, has already accounted for every moment of your journey. You see only the page you are on, but he holds the book in his hand. Consider also how futile it is to dwell on that which you cannot control. When did worrying ever produce a solution? Stress, for all its effort, has never solved a single problem. It clouds your mind, exhausts your body, and distorts your spirit. You see, in the act of worrying, we imagine ourselves as the ones who must untangle the complexities of life. But in truth, it is an illusion. We are not responsible for every turn of the world's wheels. Why then do we bear the weight as though we were? Think of time. To you and me, it is a linear thing, days leading into weeks, weeks into years. Yet to God, time is not a boundary but a tool. He sees your whole story from beginning to end. The stress you feel today is the result of not knowing what lies ahead, yet he knows and has already made provision for it. Your future is not an uncertainty to him, though it may feel like it to you. What then should our response be? It is to rest not in passivity, but in active trust. We are called to do what we are given to do with faithfulness, but the outcome is not our burden to bear. Peace comes when we recognize that the things beyond our control are not beyond God's. Stress dissolves when we accept that the same God who hung the stars in place is the one who holds your tomorrow in his hands. Faith as a rational trust is a profound concept that deserves careful consideration. At its core, faith is not simply an emotional reaction to life's uncertainties, it is a thoughtful and deliberate choice to believe in something greater than ourselves. This understanding transforms faith into a powerful tool against stress and anxiety. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to view faith as an abstract notion, something we engage with only in moments of crisis or desperation. However, true faith involves a commitment to trust in a higher power, even when the path ahead appears unclear. When we explore the nature of faith, we find that it is intricately tied to our perceptions of reality. Much of our stress arises from a desire to control our circumstances, to foresee outcomes, and to shield ourselves from potential harm. This desire can be particularly acute in times of difficulty, when uncertainty looms large. Yet faith invites us to reconsider our relationship with uncertainty. It challenges us to embrace the idea that not all events are within our grasp, and that some of the most meaningful experiences come from letting go of the illusion of control. The notion that we can manage every facet of our lives is, in itself, a source of anxiety. Faith, then, encourages us to acknowledge our limitations. This acknowledgement is not an admission of weakness, rather, it is a recognition of the truth about our human experience. We are finite beings bound by time and space, and our understanding of the universe is limited. In contrast, faith invites us to consider the existence of an infinite, omniscient being who operates beyond the confines of our comprehension. When we accept that we cannot foresee every twist and turn in our lives, we open ourselves up to a more profound trust in the divine. This trust is not blind, it is based on a rational understanding of the nature of God and his relationship with humanity. Rational trust requires an understanding of the character of God. Faith is not just about believing that something exists, it is about believing in a God who is good, loving, and just. When we grasp the essence of who God is, we begin to cultivate a relationship built on trust rather than fear. A God who is loving and all-knowing has our best interests at heart, even when we cannot see the larger picture. This understanding helps to alleviate stress, as we can approach our trials with the confidence that we are not alone in our struggles. In every circumstance, we can find comfort in the assurance that we are cared for by a higher power. Faith, as rational trust, encourages a broader perspective on life's challenges. Instead of viewing obstacles as insurmountable barriers, we can begin to see them as opportunities for growth and development. This shift in perspective is not merely an optimistic outlook, it is an acknowledgement that our experiences, both good and bad, serve a purpose in shaping us. Each challenge we face can deepen our understanding, refine our character, and strengthen our faith. When we view our difficulties through the lens of faith, we transform them into valuable lessons rather than sources of stress. The act of faith involves engaging with the divine on a personal level. Prayer, meditation, and reflection are vital practices that foster a deeper connection with God. These practices create space for dialogue, allowing us to express our fears and anxieties while also seeking guidance and reassurance. Through these moments of connection, we gain clarity and perspective, which in turn helps to alleviate our stress. The act of sharing our burdens with God not only lightens our load, but also reinforces our trust in His ability to manage our concerns. In moments of doubt or fear, rational trust provides a foundation upon which we can build our lives. It serves as a reminder that while we may not have all the answers, we are invited to journey through life with a sense of hope and assurance. This perspective doesn't negate the reality of our struggles. Instead, it offers a way to navigate them with grace and strength. When we anchor ourselves in faith, we cultivate resilience and inner strength that empowers us to face life's uncertainties without succumbing to stress. The community of faith plays a critical role in nurturing this rational trust. Engaging with others who share similar beliefs can offer encouragement and support in times of stress. Within a faith community, individuals can find companionship and understanding, reminding one another of the importance of trust in God's plan. Sharing our experiences and hearing the stories of others can strengthen our own faith, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. This sense of belonging fosters a collective trust in God's providence, reinforcing the idea that He is present in our lives, guiding us even when we cannot see the way. Understanding faith as rational trust also involves a commitment to continuous growth. Faith is not static, it evolves and matures as we encounter new experiences and challenges. The more we engage with our faith, the more profound our understanding becomes. This journey encourages us to ask questions, seek answers, and deepen our relationship with God. Each step we take strengthens our ability to trust in Him, diminishing the hold that stress has on our lives. By embracing faith as a rational trust, we move beyond mere belief into a transformative relationship that equips us to face life's challenges with confidence and peace. The contrast between human limitation and divine providence serves as a cornerstone of faith, emphasizing the differences between our finite understanding and God's infinite wisdom. Humans are inherently limited beings, constrained by time, space, and perspective. We navigate our lives with a very narrow view, focused on immediate concerns and personal experiences. This limitation often leads to stress, particularly when we encounter situations that challenge our ability to control outcomes. Our worries spring from a fundamental misunderstanding of our role in the grand scheme of life. We tend to assume responsibility for managing everything, from our health to our relationships and our futures. This can create an overwhelming sense of burden and anxiety. On the other hand, divine providence represents an all-knowing, all-powerful presence that orchestrates the universe with perfect wisdom and care. In contrast to our limited perspective, God's view encompasses the entirety of existence, past, present, and future. He understands not only the intricacies of our individual lives, but also the interconnectedness of all creation. This divine understanding allows God to work through the complexities of life in ways we often cannot perceive. When we acknowledge this difference, we begin to grasp the futility of relying solely on our understanding and the importance of placing our trust in a higher power. The tension between our limitations and God's providence often manifests in feelings of inadequacy. When faced with life's challenges, we may feel ill-equipped to handle them. Our instinct is to fight against our perceived inadequacies, often leading to stress and a sense of failure. We may obsessively plan, overthink, and strive to gain control over situations that are fundamentally outside our grasp. This struggle can consume our mental energy, leading to a cycle of anxiety that feels inescapable. However, it is crucial to recognize that our limitations are not a sign of weakness, but a reflection of our humanity. Embracing our limitations can actually free us from the paralyzing grip of stress, allowing us to focus instead on what we can control, our responses and actions. Recognizing God's providence invites us to view our struggles through a different lens. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable barriers, we can begin to view them as opportunities for growth and transformation. When we trust that God has a purpose for our challenges, we open ourselves to the possibility of discovering meaning even in our most difficult moments. This perspective shift can alleviate stress and foster resilience as we learn to navigate life's uncertainties with hope rather than despair. Faith in divine providence also reassures us that we are not alone in our struggles. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, it is comforting to know that there is a greater plan at work, one that is unfolding in ways we may not yet understand. This belief can help us surrender our anxieties to God, knowing that He is actively involved in our lives, guiding us with love and wisdom. By doing so, we relinquish the need to control every outcome and instead place our trust in the divine. The interplay between human limitation and divine providence invites us to cultivate humility. When we acknowledge our limitations, we are reminded that we are part of a larger narrative that transcends our individual experiences. This humility fosters a sense of gratitude for the moments of clarity and guidance we receive, even amid turmoil. It encourages us to approach life with a spirit of openness, ready to accept help and support from others, and importantly, from God. When we embrace humility, we can let go of our false sense of control and allow ourselves to be guided by divine wisdom. The awareness of divine providence also invites us to reflect on our past experiences. When we look back at moments of struggle, we can often see how those challenges led to unexpected growth and transformation. Hindsight often reveals patterns of support and guidance that we failed to notice in the midst of our struggles. Recognizing these patterns can strengthen our faith, encouraging us to trust that God is at work in our lives, even when we cannot see it in the present moment. This reflection can serve as a source of reassurance during difficult times, reminding us that we have navigated challenges before and emerged stronger. In times of stress, the contrast between human limitation and divine providence becomes especially poignant. We can choose to remain locked in our limited perspective, allowing anxiety to dictate our actions, or we can open ourselves to the possibilities that arise from surrendering to divine wisdom. The latter path requires a leap of faith, an act of courage that acknowledges our inability to control every aspect of life. Yet this surrender is not an act of resignation, rather, it is an empowered choice to trust in a higher purpose that we may not fully understand. This trust fosters a deeper connection to the world around us. When we recognize our limitations and the vastness of divine providence, we become more empathetic and compassionate toward others. We understand that everyone is navigating their own struggles and uncertainties, and we learn to offer support without judgment. This sense of community can alleviate our individual stress as we share in each other's burdens and celebrate each other's victories. Embracing the contrast between our human limitations and divine providence offers us a path to inner peace. It allows us to relinquish the need to have all the answers, freeing us from the stress of constant striving. Instead, we can approach life with a sense of curiosity and wonder, trusting that each moment has its place in a grander design. By letting go of the burdens of control, we can cultivate a deeper sense of peace, knowing that we are part of a larger story, one that is woven with love, grace, and divine purpose. The fallacy of worrying is a deeply entrenched habit that many of us grapple with daily. Worrying often masquerades as a form of vigilance, convincing us that by constantly thinking about potential problems, we are somehow preparing ourselves for the future. This mindset leads to the belief that worry is beneficial, that it serves as a protective mechanism. However, upon closer examination, we find that worry is largely a futile exercise, devoid of any real power to influence outcomes. In fact, worrying often exacerbates our stress, clouds our judgment, and distracts us from the actions that can genuinely contribute to a solution. One of the key reasons why worrying is counterproductive lies in its inherent nature. Worrying involves fixating on what might go wrong, rather than engaging with what is actually occurring. This preoccupation with potential problems can lead to a mental spiral, where one anxious thought triggers another, culminating in a cycle of overwhelming fear and anxiety. In this state of constant worry, our minds become so consumed with negative possibilities that we lose sight of the present moment. This detachment from reality can create a sense of helplessness, leading us to believe that we have little control over our lives and circumstances. The very act of worrying can become an all-consuming habit. Many individuals find themselves caught in a loop of anxious thoughts, often replaying scenarios repeatedly in their minds. This cycle of overthinking can lead to a state of mental exhaustion, making it difficult to focus on constructive solutions. In essence, worrying becomes a form of mental clutter, occupying valuable cognitive resources that could be better utilized for problem-solving or creative thinking. Instead of leading us toward resolution, worry tends to paralyze us, trapping us in a state of inaction and despair. To consuming our mental energy, worrying can also take a toll on our physical health. Chronic worry has been linked to a range of health issues, including anxiety disorders, depression, insomnia, and cardiovascular problems. The stress response that accompanies worry can lead to elevated levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Over time, this hormonal imbalance can weaken the immune system, disrupt sleep patterns, and contribute to a host of other physical ailments. The irony is that while we worry in an attempt to prepare for adverse outcomes, we are simultaneously compromising our well-being, making us less equipped to face the challenges ahead. Worry often fosters a sense of isolation. When we become preoccupied with our anxieties, we may withdraw from social interactions, believing that our problems are too burdensome for others to understand. This withdrawal can create a vicious cycle, where our feelings of stress and anxiety intensify due to a lack of connection and support. Ironically, reaching out to others and sharing our worries can provide much-needed relief. Connecting with friends or family allows us to gain perspective, receive encouragement, and realize that we are not alone in our struggles. By isolating ourselves, we lose the opportunity for collaboration and support that can alleviate our concerns. Worry can distort our perceptions and cloud our judgment. When we are consumed by anxiety, we may overlook potential solutions or fail to recognize opportunities for growth. The mind becomes fixated on the negative, leading us to adopt a pessimistic outlook that inhibits our ability to see the bigger picture. This distortion can make challenges appear insurmountable, overshadowing the possibilities for resilience and growth. As we become entrenched in worry, we risk missing out on the beauty of life's experiences, focusing solely on what might go wrong rather than appreciating the present. One of the most insidious aspects of worry is its capacity to influence our decisions and actions. When we allow fear and anxiety to dictate our choices, we may make decisions rooted in avoidance rather than informed judgment. This can lead to a pattern of self-sabotage, where we shy away from opportunities or fail to pursue our goals because we are overwhelmed by the what-ifs. Instead of approaching life with confidence and a sense of adventure, we become paralyzed by our fears, leading to missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. To break free from the fallacy of worrying, we must shift our perspective and develop healthier coping strategies. One effective approach is to practice mindfulness, a technique that encourages us to focus on the present moment rather than getting lost in anxious thoughts about the future. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment, recognizing worry as a mental construct rather than an objective reality. By cultivating awareness of our thought patterns, we can begin to disentangle ourselves from the grip of worry and redirect our attention toward productive actions. It can be helpful to reframe our thoughts around worry. Instead of viewing it as a protective mechanism, we can acknowledge it as a signal that we need to address certain concerns. Rather than dwelling on hypothetical scenarios, we can take practical steps to prepare for potential challenges while simultaneously letting go of the need to control every outcome. By breaking down our worries into manageable tasks, we can transform anxiety into actionable plans, shifting our focus from fear to proactive solutions. When we intentionally shift our focus toward the positive aspects of our lives, we create a mental landscape that is less conducive to anxiety. Practicing gratitude can remind us of the strengths, resources, and support systems we have at our disposal, reinforcing our ability to face challenges with resilience. By recognizing the goodness in our lives, we can create a buffer against the negativity that often accompanies worry. Seeking support from others can play a crucial role in overcoming the fallacy of worrying. Sharing our thoughts and feelings with trusted friends, family members, or counselors can provide valuable perspective and validation. Engaging in open conversations about our worries allows us to process our emotions and receive encouragement, helping us to regain a sense of control over our circumstances. By building a support network, we create a safety net that helps us navigate life's uncertainties with confidence and strength. God's eternal perspective is a profound concept that invites us to reconsider our understanding of time and existence. While humans perceive time as a linear progression moving from past to present to future, God exists outside of time, perceiving all moments simultaneously. This understanding is not merely philosophical, it has practical implications for how we approach our lives, particularly in moments of stress and uncertainty. When we realize that God sees our entire life story at once, we gain a different perspective on our current struggles. Our worries often arise from a limited view of our circumstances, where we focus on the immediate challenges and potential negative outcomes. However, God's perspective allows him to see not just what is happening now, but how every moment fits into a larger tapestry of purpose and meaning. Human beings are often caught up in the immediacy of their experiences. We feel overwhelmed by deadlines, pressures, and responsibilities, which can lead to feelings of anxiety and despair. We want solutions now, yet the complexities of life sometimes require time for resolution and understanding. This desire for instant gratification can lead to frustration, particularly when we face challenges that do not yield quick answers. In contrast, God's eternal perspective reassures us that He is aware of our struggles, and that He has a divine timeline for our lives that transcends our own understanding. This understanding encourages us to trust that even in our moments of confusion and pain, there is a greater plan at work. When we embrace the idea of God's eternal perspective, we can begin to shift our focus from short-term struggles to long-term growth. Our lives are filled with seasons, some characterized by joy and fulfillment, others marked by hardship and trial. Each season contributes to our development as individuals and shapes our character. Just as nature goes through cycles of growth, decay, and renewal, so too do our lives unfold in a way that serves a higher purpose. The difficulties we face may seem insurmountable in the moment, but when viewed through the lens of eternity, we can see how these experiences are integral to our journey. God's eternal perspective highlights the importance of patience. In a culture that often prioritizes speed and efficiency, we may feel the pressure to resolve our issues immediately. However, patience is a virtue that is deeply rooted in faith. It requires us to trust that God is working on our behalf, even when we cannot see the results of His efforts. This can be particularly challenging in times of stress, as we may feel the urge to take control and force solutions. However, by exercising patience and allowing God to work in His timing, we create space for the unfolding of His plan in our lives, This act of surrender can provide profound peace amidst chaos, allowing us to rest in the assurance that we are not alone in our struggles. Understanding God's eternal perspective also encourages us to let go of our need for control. We often cling to the illusion that we can manage every aspect of our lives, leading to stress and anxiety when things don't go as planned. However, the reality is that there are countless variables beyond our control. When we recognize that God is sovereign over all creation, we can begin to release our grip on situations that we cannot influence. This surrender is not an act of defeat, rather, it is an acknowledgement of God's authority and wisdom. By relinquishing control, we open ourselves up to the possibility of experiencing life as it unfolds, rather than attempting to manipulate outcomes to fit our expectations. The eternal perspective can deepen our understanding of hope. In times of difficulty, it is easy to lose sight of the future and feel trapped in our current circumstances. However, when we remember that God is actively involved in our lives, working all things together for good, we can cultivate a sense of hope that transcends our immediate situation. This hope is not rooted in wishful thinking, but is based on a firm belief that God has a purpose for our lives. By trusting in His eternal perspective, we can approach challenges with the confidence that they are temporary and will ultimately serve a greater purpose. God's eternal perspective encourages us to seek meaning in our experiences. Often we view our challenges through a narrow lens, focusing solely on the discomfort they bring. Yet when we step back and consider how these experiences contribute to our growth, we can begin to see the silver lining. God may use our trials to teach us valuable lessons, develop our character, or prepare us for future opportunities. By reflecting on our experiences and seeking the lessons they hold, we can transform our perception of hardship into a source of strength. We are not isolated beings, but rather part of a larger community and a grander narrative. Our actions, choices, and experiences impact those around us, often in ways we cannot foresee. This interconnectedness emphasizes the importance of compassion and empathy, reminding us that our struggles are shared by others. When we recognize that our stories are woven together, we can draw strength from one another and find solace in the knowledge that we are not alone. This sense of community can alleviate stress and create a supportive environment in which we can navigate life's challenges together. In practical terms, cultivating an awareness of God's eternal perspective involves integrating faith into our daily lives. This might mean setting aside time for prayer, reflection, or meditation, where we can engage with God and seek His guidance. It can also involve studying Scripture or other spiritual texts that offer insights into God's nature and His relationship with humanity. By grounding ourselves in our faith, we cultivate a deeper understanding of God's perspective, allowing it to shape our thoughts and actions. Surrounding ourselves with a supportive community can reinforce our understanding of God's eternal perspective. Engaging in discussions with others who share our beliefs can provide valuable insights and encouragement. Participating in group activities, such as study groups, worship services, or service projects, can foster a sense of belonging and remind us that we are all part of something larger than ourselves. This community support can help alleviate stress and reinforce our faith in God's providence. Embracing God's eternal perspective can transform the way we approach life. It shifts our focus from the immediate challenges we face to the larger narrative that God is weaving through our lives. By recognizing our limitations and trusting in His divine wisdom, we can find peace amidst uncertainty and develop a resilient faith that sustains us through life's ups and downs. This perspective invites us to engage fully in our experiences, knowing that each moment contributes to our growth and understanding, while also reminding us that we are part of a greater story that unfolds with purpose and grace.